The Flyers kind of on life support with that win last night in Minnesota. They're going to have to pull off another stunning victory.
Just keep winning, just keep winning, just keep winning. That's basically should be their motto right now. Not like the fish in Finding Nemo. Instead of swimming, it's just keep winning.
Okay, well, can they continue to do it? What happened last night? They beat a good Minnesota team. What were some of the changes? Steve Coates called the game and, of course, saw all the actions. The Flyers pull off a nice win, but a little too late there, Coatesy?
Well, you'd like to think that you're never out of it until the final, or the fat lady sings. I mean, to quote the old saying, but it was absolutely unbelievable. On Tuesday night against the Winnipeg Jets, they absolutely threw a shoe. I mean, whatever you could possibly do wrong, they did wrong. As far as just against a team that was missing 5 regular defensemen, had played a goalie had not played in 2 months, and all of a sudden you figure, okay, things are going to come into play. We can get after that defense and we can make them work. Get after the goalie who hasn't played. Nothing like that happened. They just absolutely came out flatter than a pancake. But last night, they did everything completely opposite. They worked hard in the offensive zone. They got off to a great start. They got onto the defense of the Minnesota Wild. They did a great job in their own zone protecting below the circles and below the goal line, because that was going to be the big worry because of the size of the centers of the Minnesota Wild. And they got good first passes coming out of their zone, and when they needed be, they seemed to have a little bit of a clunker in that first goal, but after that, they were solid for 60 minutes.
Coatesy, I can't believe it, but Sean Couturier has 3 goals and 7 assists over his last 10 games. Had a goal last night, 12 of 15 faceoffs. That's 80%. Who lit the fire under Sean Couturier? What's changed him?
Well, obviously he's playing very well with Weiss and Shen. Sometimes you get a combination that's, it works. And that's why you keep moving your lines around until you do find the right combinations. And Dave Haxtell did make a couple of changes last night, put Matt Reed up with Voracek and Giroux, and that certainly worked. Matt Reed gets a goal, and he actually had a heck of a hockey game. So with Couturier, I think you got to boil it down to he's a big man. In fact, he's the biggest player on the Philadelphia Flyers. So if he's going to be the big guy, he's got to play like the big guy. And you've got to be able to keep your feet moving. And that's when he's at his best. He's at his best when he's skating. And if you could see it last night, you could see it in all the other games, and he's played very well. So now, if it might be too little too late, but still, there's some interesting things happening in the standings right now. Boston seems to struggle this time of year all the time, and now all of a sudden they've lost 4 in a row. You got a game against Islanders. The Bruins have a game in hand, or we have a game in hand on the Bruins, and I just hope it doesn't come back to the fact that one game on Saturday afternoon that we lost in the last 5 seconds doesn't come back to haunt us. But I'll tell you what, it's interesting when you just take a look at where Boston is, where the last wild card spot is, because Toronto now all of a sudden has bounced straight up in there into the 3rd spot in the Atlantic Division. So now when you look at the wild cards, you still got the Islanders, Tampa Bay, and the Boston Bruins. And so we're still within reach. And stranger things have happened. So if all of a sudden you could come up with a miracle weekend here in Columbus tomorrow afternoon, and then Pittsburgh on Sunday, who are going to be a little bit upset about being beat last Wednesday, but still, hey, stranger things have happened because all of a sudden Boston continues to lose. The Islanders have at Pittsburgh tonight. There's a lot of different combinations that could happen.
Yeah, you look at those teams in front of you, Coatesy, and I guess basically, and I said just keep winning, but Carolina, Tampa Bay, the Islanders all in front. You mentioned the flip-flop between Boston and Toronto. The players, is there any talk amongst them about how things map out, or do you think they're trying to zone in and lock in on if we take care of our business, that's all we can control?
Well, I would hope they're talking about it. I mean, it's certainly a different type of player today, but no, when we talked to Sean Couturier last night, they're very aware of what's going on. They know that, they had an opportunity against Toronto Maple Leafs. They had an opportunity against the Boston Bruins. They had an opportunity against New Jersey Devils. And they blew them. But if you want to look at it, if you just want to massage the numbers to make yourself feel better. I know I do that as a broadcaster to try to understand what our chances are and what we're going to do. If you look, okay, we're going to go into this road trip. We're going to play at Winnipeg. We're going to play at Minnesota, at Columbus, at Pittsburgh. Man, that's a hard row. So how do you think we would have done against Winnipeg? I would have expected to beat Winnipeg but have a hard time with Minnesota Wild. It flipped on us. So basically we're right where I would have thought we were going to be, because I thought we would have beaten Winnipeg with all those guys out. So, Mace played good again last night. If he could steal you some games, anything can happen. You got a long way to go still.
Did you like Manning coming back into the lineup in favor of Delzato, who had put some points on the board, but Manning and what he brings physically?
Well, I thought Delzato played very well, but I think the reason for that was that Hack wanted to be a little bit bigger back on the blue line because of the centers that Minnesota has with Koivu, Stahl, Hansel. They're all 6'2", 6'3". So that makes it tough, but they didn't apply that kind of pressure. So Manny was in the lineup for that reason, to play with the Gudis back there to be able to get some beef, and it tended to work. It really did.
Steve Coates with us, Flyers radio analyst. I guess when push comes to shove, Coatesy, at the end of this year, whether they make a miraculous run and get in here or they do not make the playoffs, do you think that there needs to be some changes moving forward with something on this roster?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Yeah, because you got to evaluate your team on a day-to-day basis and how they competed with everybody in the National Hockey League. Sure, result has a lot to do with it. If you make the playoffs, you feel a little bit better about yourself, but that doesn't change what you feel about your team to be competitive at the higher level. So I know that Ron Hextall, he spends a lot of time with us on the road and watching this hockey team. Some general managers don't. Hexy does. And he has obviously a way in his mind, and he's trying to understand what he needs for his team to get better next year. And if you look at this team on a day-to-day basis, you and Pete and I talk about it, Michael, every Thursday about what this needs and what's going on and all the different things you look at week after week or day after day the general manager's doing. So, no, there'll be – usually when you take a look at these teams now on an annual basis anyway, because of free agency, you're talking about a 30% change in your lineup anyway. Like if you take the team who went to the Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks in 2010, there's one player off on this team from there.
Coatesy, of course, Flyers, and they are in Columbus, which is a great town, I hear.
Columbus is a good town.
A lot of co-eds.
There's
Right?
a lot of what?
Co-eds, a lot of college co-eds in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, there's a lot of nursing homes for me, too.
Don't worry. Slow and steady wins the race. Hey, I know this is a passionate subject for you, so I can't let you go without asking you about the NHL and the Winter Olympics. Your take on whether you think the NHL players should be going to the Winter Olympics, because that's been in the news this week.
I'm one that says no. Why? It was a great thing at one time to sell the game around the world. I know that Jake Voracek on our team would be upset to hear me say that because he really wants to go to represent their countries. I understand that part. For a 2-week period to shut down your product and to have best players in the league go over there at a time where you're not going to see the games anyway because it's at an odd time, I just think it's lost its luster, to be honest with you. I just think it's too far to go. If it was down like in this part of the hemisphere, I'd say fine, okay, we'll shut down. We don't have to travel too far. But I just think it's too much in such a short period of time, and I don't know how much you get out of it when it's in a different time area or time zone like that where you're not getting the full coverage. Everything's tape delayed. People already know the answer, all those different things that make for a good product. But there is a strange thing about the negotiation when you think, okay, they're not going to go to South Korea, but they're going to go to China.
Right.
So there's got to be a little hiccup there. I know that the big problem was the money for that the International Ice Hockey Federation was supporting the players with their insurance, and they said they can't afford to do that anymore. Well, somebody's got to pay for it. The NHL going to not pay for it. It's their product. Is the International Ice Hockey Federation going to come in and pay for the insurance in the NHL? No. So there's a lot of different, I imagine, moving parts, and I imagine maybe they're just having a big standoff right now. But for me, I don't. It's not one of my. Wouldn't be on my bucket list to go play hockey in South Korea.
Well, we won't tell Jake that you're on the no side against it. But yeah, $14 million they had to put up that International Hockey Foundation, and somebody has to insure these guys. And yes, that weird dynamic that you spoke about, where South Korea and then China involved. So it's back and forth. Steve Coates with us. The Flyers play tomorrow afternoon in Columbus, and then on Sunday in Pittsburgh. Two critical back-to-back games. Coatesy, we really appreciate the time. Thanks so much, bud.
Gentlemen, you guys have a great day and a great weekend.